You have that look again.
What look?
Jasmine and Kevin loved each other in a way that made people assume they had already figured it out. Same humor, same dreams, same vision of where life was going. But money doesn't care about surface alignment. It cares about patterns. Jasmine saved because money meant safety. Kevin spent because he'd watched his mother save for one day her entire life, and one day never arrived. They didn't argue about money. They managed it separately, in silence, until silence became its own financial system. In this episode, I get into the most avoided conversation in any relationship, and why avoiding it doesn't protect your peace. It postpones conflict at compound interest. Amos 3:3 asks, can two people walk together if they've never agreed on where they're going? Subscribe, watch the full episode, and send it to the person you need to have this conversation with. Manage it like it was never yours. There's a strange thing that happens when two people fall in love. They assume emotional compatibility automatically means financial compatibility. It doesn't. And money has a way of exposing what emotion was able to cover up. Because you can share jokes, chemistry, dreams, even vulnerability, and still be completely misaligned on how life is actually funded. And the truth is simple but uncomfortable. If you are building a shared life with someone and you have never talked about money properly, you are not building together. You are coexisting in parallel financial worlds. Until reality forces a collision. Let's be honest about what usually happens. One person is planning the future, the other is surviving the present, and neither of them is wrong. They are just operating from different internal histories. Meet Jasmine and Kevin. They loved each other in a way that made people assume they had already figured it out. Same humor, same social energy, same dreams about travel, a house, maybe kids one day. On the surface, alignment. But money doesn't care about surface alignment. It cares about patterns. Jasmine saved instinctively, not because she was naturally disciplined, but because uncertainty had trained her early. She kept spreadsheets. She tracked spending. She got anxious when her account dipped below a certain number, even if bills were already covered. For her, money meant safety. Safety meant control. Control meant survival. Kevin, on the other hand, had a different relationship with money entirely. He spent freely, but not recklessly, in the stereotypical sense. He just believed money should circulate. Enjoy the dinner. Take the trip. Buy the thing. Life is happening now, not later. But beneath that was something he rarely admitted. He had watched his mother postpone her entire life for one day. She saved carefully. She sacrificed constantly. New clothes waited. Small joys waited. Even rest waited. And one day never arrived. She passed before she ever used the safety she built. So Kevin made a silent vow. I will not live like I'm preparing for a life that never starts. When Jasmine and Kevin moved in together, the first few months felt smooth because love is good at covering gaps in understanding until the first real financial pressure showed up. A shared rent increase, a car repair, a decision about whether to help family back home. Suddenly, their differences weren't theoretical anymore. They were monthly. Still, they didn't talk about it properly. Not fully, because every attempt felt like it would turn into blame. If Jasmine raised concern, it sounded like control. If Kevin raised frustration, it sounded like irresponsibility. So they did what many couples do. They managed separately, quietly, individually, until silence became its own financial system. The first major crack came after a disagreement that had nothing to do with numbers on paper. Kevin had booked a weekend trip with friends without checking their shared budget. Jasmine didn't react immediately. She smiled, said it was fine. But that night, she checked their account 3 times. Not because the trip broke them, but because she realized they didn't actually agree on what safe spending meant. And that's when it shifted from money to meaning. Because unspoken money tension never stays financial. It becomes emotional interpretation. You don't think about the future. You don't let me enjoy life. You are careless. You are controlling. None of those sentences start with money, but all of them are born there. Amos 3:3 asks a very simple question. Did two walk together unless they have agreed to do so? The Hebrew idea behind agreed here is deeper than verbal agreement. It implies alignment of direction, shared movement, a covenantal rhythm. In other words, can two people walk forward together if they are not even walking toward the same definition of forward? Actually, Jasmine couldn't carry the silence anymore. One night, after a smaller argument that should have been nothing, she said something that changed the shape of their relationship. I don't think we've ever actually talked about money like adults building something together. It wasn't an accusation, it was a diagnosis. That conversation didn't fix everything. It actually got worse before it got better, because truth does that sometimes. It removes the illusion of ease. They talked properly for the first time in nearly 2 years, and what came out was not just budgets, it was history. Jasmine talked about the childhood fear of lights being cut off without warning, how her mother would pretend everything was fine even when it wasn't, agreement. How stability felt like something you had to constantly protect, or it would disappear overnight. Kevin talked about watching scarcity turn into emotional deprivation. How money was always for later, but later never arrived. How he associated saving with waiting for a life that might never come. And suddenly, they weren't arguing about spending. They were grieving different pasts. That changed the tone completely. Because once you understand someone's financial logic, you stop interpreting their behavior as moral failure. You start seeing it as history. Then they did something simple but powerful. They wrote it down. Not just feelings, structure. What do we share? What do we keep separate? What are our non-negotiables? What are our shared goals in 5 years? In 10? And for the first time, they weren't guessing each other's intentions. They were building definitions together. It wasn't perfect. Kevin still liked to spend more freely. Jasmine still checked the account more often than necessary. But now those differences were contained inside a shared agreement instead of left to interpretation. And that matters more than people realize, because most relationships don't break from lack of love. They break from lack of clarity. There's another couple I knew of indirectly that makes this even clearer. A woman named Laila and her partner Marcus. They never argued about money. Not once in the first 4 years. People assumed they were naturally aligned. They weren't. Laila quietly saved everything. Marcus quietly supported multiple family obligations without telling her the full extent. Both were hiding their financial realities out of peacekeeping until one emergency exposed everything at once. And what broke them wasn't the emergency. It was the discovery that they had never actually built transparency, just performance. That's what avoidance does. It delays discomfort until it becomes damage. So here is what this really comes down to. The money conversation is not about numbers. It is about trust. It is about whether you are building a shared reality or maintaining separate ones under one roof. And if you avoid it, you are not protecting peace. You are postponing conflict at compound interest. So what should actually be discussed? Not abstractly, specifically. Your money history. What did you learn growing up about spending, saving, debt, and security? Your current reality. Income, obligations, debt, savings. No hiding, no performance. Your emotional patterns. Do you spend to feel free? Save to feel safe? Avoid to feel in control? Your shared direction. What does financial stability actually look like for both of you? And your system. Who does what? How do you decide? What happens when life changes? It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. Jasmine and Kevin didn't become identical after that. They didn't erase difference. They built language for it. And that changed everything. Because once something is named clearly, it can be managed. Before that, it manages you. So here is the uncomfortable truth. Avoiding the money conversation is not neutral. It is a decision. And it always costs more later than it would have cost early. Not just financially, emotionally, relationally, structurally. So have it properly, soon, not when it becomes urgent, because by then, you are no longer talking about money. You are talking about damage control. And Amos 3:3 is still asking the same question underneath it all. Can two people actually walk together if they have never agreed on where they are going? If this message hit different, if something in your spirit just shifted, don't let it stop there. Hit like. Not for the numbers, but because there's a steward somewhere still scrolling who needs to find this. Share it with the one who's been praying for breakthrough, but hasn't had the word broken down with receipts yet. And subscribe to Bible Rebooted. We're not here to make you feel good. We're here to hand you the truth and show you what to do with it. Manage it like it was never yours. It's your boy Dave Solara, signing out. Like, subscribe, and stream music.
You are not forgotten. I see you.